Hey guys, this is Stacy from eatthebite.com, and today I'm going to show you how to trim the fat from chicken thighs. So let's get to work. We're going to start with the chicken thighs. Let's first take a look at what we're dealing with here with these chicken thighs. What we're looking at is that when they package it to look all wonderful and neat like this, but what's really going on underneath is all of this, okay? There's a ton of fat on chicken thighs. There's this fat, and then there's like hidden pockets of fat here, hidden pockets of fat here, and we're gonna get into it. Let's get into it. So the first thing I like to do is trim off any obvious flaps of fat. So we'll start over here, and you're gonna need a pair of kitchen shears. Better than the ones I just bought. I think my old ones are better than these. Yep. I'm gonna return those. I just bought them and they suck. Okay, so we'll start by trimming off the really obvious flaps of fat. And, you know, we're gonna start with big flaps. So, okay. And then like right here, okay? This right here is, you know, it keeps going underneath even the top layer of skin. So you've got to get that as well. I want all the chicken fat in a big pile. And now I want you to take a look at the inside of this. These are all just kind of like these fat pockets. But I think this one right here, which exists on almost all chicken thighs, is a hidden pocket that goes a lot deeper than you'd think. So I'm gonna point my scissors down into it and rip that up a little bit. So this part right here, we're gonna cut that out. Hate that pocket of fat. And it's one of the tricky hidden ones. And as you start trimming it, it goes even deeper. And some of this stuff, I just do a pointy side down right into it, and I'll just snip into it so I can get it out. I'm gonna get into it right here in the middle too. These will still be delicious chicken thighs, minus eating all that fat. Now, if I see something like this, I'm gonna do another kind of nosedive into it with my scissors, just to explore and see how much fat is there. I still didn't get all that hidden pocket right here. Okay. Here, oh yeah, this is another place. So the skin that ends right here, also sort of like right underneath that skin, is always this little hidden gem. So and again, just depending on like, if you don't want that, there's still a little bit of flap right here, but sometimes you just need some of the skin so it protects the chicken while you're cooking it. And okay, so this was the fat from one. Okay, I think this one's in pretty good shape. Yeah, pretty good shape. This is like pretty intensely, like this is a crazy amount of fat that they hide from you in the supermarket, right? And you're gonna get it like, whoa, what happened? This enormous piece of fat is gonna get cut right off. Hey, and if you want to save it and make crispy skin cracklings or whatever, go for it. But I tend to not eat the skin of chicken, except sometimes I do. Okay, so big flap's gone, but then there's also, see, this piece of skin is, you know, didn't really come down too far. So we have to remember this is a big culprit right here. Normally the skin might be covering that so you can't see it. So I'm going to take my little scissors and cut that off. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to nosedive into these areas here and probably cut into this one. And I'm going to do that right now. All right, I'm going to nosedive. Do a little nosedive. Little nosedive. Little nosedive. And now we expose, see how deep that fat goes. Okay, so I'm going to cut this right here. This is one of those pockets of fat I was telling you about before. It actually goes quite deep. This one, you gotta watch out for this little triangle shaped fat because it can run pretty deep. So I'm gonna do a little nosedive into there. And if you take a look at this nosedive, see, first it just looks like this, but then when you open it up, it's a lot of fat right here. Okay. And yes, sometimes you will end up having to snip off some chicken meat, but it's a small price to pay. You might have to wrestle a little with it, but it's okay. It's worth it. Then you can enjoy the chicken thighs a little bit more, knowing that you've done as much as you can to get that fat off. And it may seem like an insignificant amount of fat, but it's really not. It's really quite significant. It adds up. All this fat in here adds up. Okay, I think we're looking pretty good here. Actually, I see another little spot right here. And I might do a once over at the end too to make sure I really got everything. But I think this is a pretty clean one. We got everything cut out of there. We got most of the stuff out of here. And oh, found another one. Okay. Now we're going to put that here. Once again, there's a lot of fat on chicken thighs. You want to eat that? I don't think so. Okay. Where that skin ends, oh, this is a really good example of how much, sometimes that skin will hide that bit of fat from you. And then I even try to I skim the surface. You got to skim it too, sometimes to get that fat. So we've got trimming obvious flaps of fat, we've got nose diving, and we've got scissor skimming. These are my terminologies. Troublemaker triangle right here. Okay? It's right here, always, in every piece of chicken. It's a little triangle there. It's fat. See, and once I dug into it, by the way, once I dug into that, it got really deep, and you can see the depth of how much fat is actually there. So I'm gonna, okay, and I'm gonna do a nosedive right here along the bone, and just kind of open it up a little bit and see what's there, and then decide what you're cutting out. Okay. Now, I think I got everything that I can get, and I feel better about cooking this now. Here's the fat. We cut off 4 chicken thighs. And again, if you want to eat the fat and you want chicken cracklings, fry it up and garnish it, but generally speaking, on a regular day-to-day basis, you don't want to eat this kind of fat in your chicken. So here it is, big pile of fat. The end result. Trimmed.